Have you ever felt ignored, less capable, or even ashamed, just because your English isn't perfect? Have you seen people treat you differently, not for your thoughts or your hard work, but for how well you speak a foreign language? In India, this happens every single day, whether it's in schools, interviews, offices, or even casual conversations. People are judged not by their honesty or intelligence, but by their accent and grammar. But ask yourself, should language decide your worth? Should your fluency matter more than your wisdom? Instead of using English to connect people, society has turned it into a wall, a test, a trap, a ticket to judgment. Interviews, colleges, even marriages, all begin with one question. Do they speak fluent English? But no one ever asks, do they speak with honesty, with empathy, with clarity? Strong ideas are dismissed, not because they're wrong, but because they weren't spoken in the right accent. Today, a fluent English speaker with no sense, no ethics, no manners, is often respected more than a wise soul speaking in their mother tongue. In debates, it's not truth that wins, it's the accent. In group discussions, British pronunciation gets applause. Real understanding gets ignored. English is the world's most accepted language, a golden key that unlocks borders, powers global trade, fuels the fire of technology, and makes travel and communication possible across continents. In today's world, English isn't just useful, it's essential. Want to dive into modern science? You need English. Want to crack global business deals? English is your ticket. Want to scroll through international platforms or explore the world? English is your map. It opens doors, no doubt, and for good reason. It's the language that connects the world, the bridge that carries dreams from one corner of the globe to another. But in a country like India, English has become more than just a language. Somewhere along the way, it stopped being a tool for communication and became a shining status symbol, a silent judge of worth, a ruler that measures not just words, but people. And in that shift, it has created a divide, a new kind of caste system, where fluency is power and hesitation is weakness. Imagine two children stepping into school with the same spark in their eyes, the same dreams in their hearts. They start their journey in the same year, their futures seemingly equal. One walks into an English medium school, a place where confidence is nurtured like a fragile plant. He's told to speak, to express, to ask questions, to debate, to let his voice fly free in English. He stumbles, he mispronounces, he laughs, but he learns. His mistakes are celebrated as steps toward growth, his accent a badge of effort. The other child? He enters a non-English medium school, where English is just another subject like maths or science. He studies it from kindergarten, learning alphabets, grammar, vocabulary, even Shakespeare by the time he's in college. He passes exams, scores marks, fills notebooks with perfect sentences. But he's rarely taught to speak. He's told to memorize, to be grammatically perfect, to fear mistakes. If he dares to open his mouth, he's corrected, laughed at, or silenced. His lips tremble, not because he doesn't know the words, but because he's afraid of mispronouncing, afraid of losing respect, afraid that one wrong word will make him less in the eyes of others. Year after year, this divide grows wider. The English medium child becomes bold, his words flowing like a river, his confidence a shield against the world. The non-English medium child grows cautious, his voice locked in a cage of fear. Not because he's less intelligent, not because he's less hardworking, but because of exposure, or the lack of it. Because one was given a stage to shine, while the other was taught to stay silent. And here's the bitter truth. In our society, the one who speaks fluent English, no matter how shallow his thoughts, is praised. He may lack common sense, His words may be empty, but his accent sparkles, and that's enough. The one who speaks the truth with depth and clarity, but in broken English, or God forbid in his mother tongue, is dismissed, ignored, sometimes even mocked. We don't measure knowledge. We don't value ideas. We measure polish. We worship pronunciation. And in doing so, we create a world where fluency trumps substance, where an accent is mistaken for intelligence. Why do two people who share the same mother tongue, who grew up in the same village, laughing in the same language, choose to speak to each other in English? Not because they need to, not because it's natural, but because of ego. Because English has become a badge of being educated, a way to feel superior, a way to say, I'm better than you. In a country with 22 official languages, each one rich with history and beauty, we've silently built a new caste system, not based on birth, but on accent. Fluent English is the modern upper class, the ticket to respect, the key to being heard. Hesitant English, or worse, no English, marks you as lesser, unworthy, invisible. This is not just a language divide, it's a social divide, an economic divide, a cultural divide. It's the difference between being valued and being forgotten. In our groups, even a silly joke in English gets big laughs, even if it makes no sense. But when someone shares a deep thought in our own language, no one listens. Today, it's not the meaning that gets respect, it's the accent. Even nonsense in English sounds great, but real truth in our mother tongue? Ignored. Some speak English, not to share ideas, but to silence others. They throw complex words, fake accents, Western references, not for clarity, but for confusion, to intimidate, to dominate. They want others to feel small, insecure, inferior. But let's remember, language should be a ladder, not a sword. It's the story of countless talents across India, singers who never audition, writers who never publish, leaders who never step forward, all because they fear the judgment of their English. Let me tell you about a friend, a cricketer so talented he could have played for India. He was aggressive, skilled, a match winner who could make bowlers tremble and crowds roar. He had the technique to outsmart the toughest opponents, the temperament to chase impossible targets. But he walked away from it all, not because of injury, not because of politics, not because he lacked talent. He walked away because he feared the post-match interview mic. He dreaded the moment when, after hitting a century, the media would shove a microphone in his face and expect him to answer in fluent English. He knew English. He could read it, write it, understand it. But speaking? That was his nightmare. He imagined the laughter, the memes, the headlines mocking his village accent. And so he chose silence over stardom. He let his dreams slip away, not because he wasn't good enough, but because a language became his greatest opponent. This is not just his story. That fear is real and it's everywhere. Many non-English medium students know the language well. They read novels, write essays, handle complex vocabulary. From kindergarten to degree, they've studied English, mastered its rules, scored marks in exams. But when it comes to speaking, they freeze. Not because they lack knowledge, but because they dread the snickers of the so-called intellectuals, the urban elite who treat English as a weapon to prove their superiority. These students hide their voices, swallowing their thoughts, convinced that their imperfect English makes them less worthy. But when they finally speak, when they summon the courage to let their words flow, clear, powerful, and true, something magical happens. The room falls silent. The intellectuals with their polished accents and smug smiles are stunned. Their silence is not respect, it's shock. Some of India's strongest minds, our scientists, politicians, IAS officers, IPS officers, entrepreneurs, come from non-English backgrounds. They didn't grow up with British accents or fancy grammar books. They studied in regional medium schools in small towns and villages surrounded by fields and simplicity. But they had discipline, they had focus, they had intelligence, and above all, they had resilience. They faced the same mockery, the same judgment, the same fear of English, but they pushed through. They proved that brilliance doesn't need a posh accent to shine, that answers matter more than articulation. These are the people who run our country, who solve our problems, who lead with courage. They are living proof that intelligence is not measured in syllables, that greatness doesn't need a Western twang to make an impact. The cruelest irony is this: when we Indians go abroad to English-speaking countries like America, Britain, or Australia, no one mocks our accent. They don't care how we pronounce schedule or restaurant. They listen to what we say, not how we say it. They value our ideas, our substance, our truth. But here, in our own country, we are our own worst enemies. We crush dreams with grammar. We break confidence with laughter. We destroy talent with judgment. A student with a brilliant mind is laughed off because his English is funny. A poet with verses that could move mountains hides her work because she fears her accent will invite ridicule. An employee with years of expertise avoids meetings because he dreads the mockery of his pronunciation. This is not progress, this is self-sabotage. This is a nation turning its back on its own potential, all because we've made a foreign language the gatekeeper of worth. Let's stop using English to measure intelligence and start using it to connect. Let's stop fearing the microphone and start fearing the silence of voices that could change the world but never dare to speak. Learn English, use it, master it if you want, but don't worship it. Don't define someone's brain by their accent. Respect thought, not tongue. Respect clarity, not fluency. The next time someone speaks broken English, don't laugh, listen. They might be saying something profound. The next time someone stays silent in a group discussion, don't assume they know less. Maybe they know more. Maybe they're just waiting for a safe space to shine. And to those who fear English, who feel their hearts race and their throats tighten at the thought of speaking, this is for you. Speak anyway. Speak slowly. Break the grammar. Own the accent. Let your words stumble, let your voice shake, but let it be heard. Grammar will follow. Confidence will grow. The world doesn't need perfect English. It needs honest voices, courageous voices, voices that dare to speak the truth no matter how they sound. The day you stop fearing the mic, the day you let your voice rise above the noise of judgment, English itself will fear you. You are not your accent. You are your ideas, your dreams, your fire. The world is waiting for your story, your solutions, your brilliance. Don't let a language steal your light. From Easy Academy, we say this with all our heart. All the best. Speak boldly, dream fiercely, and never, ever let English fear you more than you fear it. All the best.